So today we are going to discuss one of the key management factor in HR management, that is compensation management. So whenever we work in an organization against a role, we expect a certain compensation from that organization, and that compensation directly depends upon three things: one, your qualification; two, the role you are performing; and third, your skills that you hold in that particular organization. So now, first of all, we have to see that what is the compensation. Compensation is a process in which we either directly or indirectly, in the form of different rewards, in the form of trips, in the form of foreign tours, in different kind of forms, benefit or pay the employee, either currently or in some on some deferred basis. Deferred basis can include a kind of gratuity or provident fund or any such services, or maybe medical services whenever required. So we pay the compensation to that particular employee in different arrangements, in different ways, whatsoever it is. So that paying off the employee through different arrangement is particularly called compensation. So what is the objective? What is the major objective, that why exactly we compensate? One, that is a legal compliance to pay an individual whosoever giving you a benefit or giving you a services. Secondly, in order to have a cost effectiveness across the organization, we have a compensation mechanism. Third, in order to have a feeling of equity amongst all the employees, there's a way through which we compensate employees. And last, performance enhancement of the organization. That is the most key factor. In an organization, there are different individuals having the same qualification, maybe the same kind of skill set, but we pay them differently. And that difference depends upon how efficiently you're working for the welfare, for the benefit of the organization. And that actually encourage or motivate an employee to work even harder in an organization in the favor of the organization to get the maximum benefit or maximum compensation against the services that he's providing. Now there are different kind of types of salaries that we can discuss. One is called the basic salary, and the other is called the gross salary, and third one could be the net salary. So all of that differs from each other. The base salary normally includes your wages or your salaries or your pay, and that's it. While your gross salary may include different kind of perks that you have been provided with, but naturally it also includes the tax. While or maybe the cutting of your gratuity or provident fund, that is maybe on monthly basis or maybe annual basis. So the net salary is basically your salary that you're receiving in your account, that is take home salary, which exclude the tax amount, which exclude the deductions against different things, gratuity, provident fund, etc. So there are two types of compensations. One is the direct compensation and the other one is the indirect compensation. So far direct compensation is concerned, there are two things basically. One, the base pay, and the second thing is basically the variable pay. So the indirect compensation could be different kind of benefits that you are getting through the organization. Variable pay could be different kind of bonuses, incentives, or stocks or share options that you can have based on the performance in the organization. The benefits could be the medical insurance, it could be provident fund, retirement pensions, UBI, etc. Now there's a theory regarding this compensation mechanism which is called the reinforcement theory. It says that the behavior is a function of its own consequences. So how do we understand this exactly? This particular reinforcement theory, it says that the behavior that you opt ultimately get you something in return. If you have a good or a positive attitude in the organization, you're a very hard working person and you work very efficiently, that earns you a better compensation, that earns you a better reward, better respect. While in contrary to that, if you are not at all hardworking, you have a careless attitude, or maybe you are not that much responding or respectful to your colleagues or maybe to your seniors, then ultimately what you will earn is a bad reputation, and same you will have the impact of this thing in monetary terms. Further moving on, the reinforcement theory further says that success seekers are the one who have good basically attitudes toward the organizations, and definitely there are certain people who are failure avoiders. Then there is an equity theory which has four principal components: self inside, self outside, other inside, and other outside. Then there is a justice system which is called, there are three types of justice systems. One is called distributive justice. The other one is called procedural justice, and the third one is called interactional justice. Now we will see each one of them one by one. So, procedural justice principally says that the perceived fairness of a process used to determine the outcomes, the final distribution, that how was, who gets what decided. Moving on to the next one, there is an interactional justice which says that the degree to which one is treated with dignity and respect is the interactional kind of justice. Then there is a third kind of justice, and sorry, there's an expectancy theory which says that individual must feel that if they try, if they work hard, if they perform better, if they are willing to invest their time and their energy towards the organization, definitely they are getting something in return out of it. And then now we are further moving towards a new topic that is called different kind of managers who are working with you in organization, or maybe whom you are dealing with in an organization. One is the HR manager and the other one is line manager. The principal difference between the two is that HR manager is responsible for your human resource management related issues like your pays, your compensations, your provident fund, your uh, bonuses, your incentives, while the line manager is principally the person who is responsible for the skill set or the work that you are doing in the organization, and he is the one who actually sent his feedback to the HR manager, which ultimately decides your increase, your raises, your incentives, your bonuses in the organization. Then there's another compensation philosophy that you must consider. There are two things: one is entitlement, and the other one is performance. Entitlement means that you are basically privileged to have these kind of things or these kind of compensation when you are working at a certain position. Entitlement could be based on the seniority, it can be based on the organizational widespread raises, it can be a scaled promotion, it can be basically industry comparisons, it can be a Santa Claus bonus which is equal for everyone in the organization. While the performance is different, it gives you a raise when you work hard, when you perform. So the performance things are only given or only awarded once you work for it, you perform or you make yourself eligible to get that kind of performance compensation. Now there are different kind of compensation techniques. One is called internal compensation technique, second is external, individual, and the process. So these are the different compensation techniques which are used to decide that what compensation should be paid to an individual with a certain certain skill set. Now in the last, I would just like to give you a view of the virtuous and the vicious circle. So there are two kind of circle. One is called the virtuous circle, which explain itself. If an organization is performing very well, that would ultimately increase the performance-based pay. Means they are giving more leverage or more compensation to their employees, and ultimately that would motivate the employees and they will work even harder, and ultimately the employees working hard will reduce the risk and return balance. That means that the organization will perform better, and ultimately it gives more benefit to the employees working for the organization. No, there's another kind of circle which is called the vicious circle. That means that the organization is not performing well. They have been reducing salaries of the working employees of the organization, and that ultimately demotivates the employee, and that also creates a imbalance in the organization. Okay, we will also have an overview of this Technova solutions. Technova solution is itself a theory which says that if there is basically uh, organization, or maybe this is kind of a case study which says that an organization with X number of employees having an X turnover rate, and if they perform good, then what will be the there are different kind of problems that they have been studying. So this is all from our side today. Now tell me, what is your HR strategy in this perspective? Thank you so much for hearing this out.